T took it of easy now. The words came out shaky, tangled between fear and disbelief. Sarah's voice cracked against the thunder that rolled across the valley, swallowed by the restless clatter of rain on the tin roof. She didn't mean for it to sound like a plea, but it did. Her hands trembled where they hovered near her lantern, the faint light flickering against the dusty barn walls. The ranch smelled of damp hay, leather, and iron, old things that had seen too much. Dust swirled in the air, glinting gold in the lantern's soft glow. Her boots sank slightly in the straw-covered floor as she took a small step back, eyes locked on the man before her. The rancher. He filled the doorway like a shadow come to life. Broad-shouldered, coat dripping with rain, the brim of his hat tilted low enough to hide his expression. Water slid from his collar down the stubble along his jaw. In the half-light, his face looked carved from stone. Everyone in Dry Creek knew him. Caleb Holt, the man who never lost a bet, a fight, or an ounce of control. Rumor said he'd once run with outlaws before settling this land, and that there wasn't a soul who could shake him. But tonight, under that raging sky, even Caleb looked uncertain. He took a slow step forward, boots crunching in the hay. "Easy now," he echoed, his voice low, gravel rough, but not unkind. "Ain't no call for that look in your eyes." Sarah's heart pounded so hard she thought he might hear it. "Then you shouldn't have come here." She raised the lantern a little higher, trying to mask her shaking hand. The light fell across his chest, catching the faint silver of a sheriff's badge tucked beneath his coat. That, more than anything, made her hesitate. "I had to," Caleb said. "You left me no choice." "Left you," she started, but the words tangled. She had no reason to trust this man. 2 days ago, his men had been the ones riding across her fields, marking off boundaries, claiming they'd bought the deed fair and square. Her father's land, her land now, taken in the flick of a pen and a forged signature. The rain beat harder, wind howling through the cracks in the wood. Caleb took another step, the boards creaking under his weight. "I ain't here to take nothin' from you, Sarah." She laughed. A short, bitter sound. "That's rich, coming from you." Caleb's jaw flexed. He looked away for a moment, as if the floorboards held something worth studying. "You think I don't know what it's like to have something stolen out from under you?" "Spare me the sermon," she snapped. Her fear had begun to twist into anger now, burning hot enough to steady her voice. "My father died defending this place. You think I'll just hand it over because some rancher with a fast gun tells me to? Easy now." Caleb's eyes lifted, the firelight catching something raw in them, something that didn't match the stories she'd heard. "Your father didn't die the way you think he did." The words landed like a thunderclap. Sarah froze, her breath catching. "What did you say?" Caleb reached slowly for his revolver. Sarah flinched, instinct making her stumble back a step. "Don't," she warned, voice sharp. But he didn't draw it. Instead, he turned it in his hand and placed it, carefully, on the hay-covered floor between them. The metal gleamed dull under the lantern light. "If I meant harm," he said quietly, "you'd already know it." Sarah stared, confused, her pulse racing. "Then what do you want from me?" He took off his hat, rain-dark hair falling over his forehead. The gesture made him seem suddenly human, even tired. "I came to tell you the truth," he said. "About who signed that deed. About who killed your father." For a long moment, neither of them moved. Only the wind filled the silence, whistling through the barn's rafters like a restless ghost. Sarah's throat went dry. "You expect me to believe you?" Caleb's voice softened. I don't expect anything. But the man who took your father's land, he's the same man that's been trying to bury me for years. Name's Jeb McAllister. He forged that deed and pinned the blame on me. The name hit her like a strike of lightning. Jeb McAllister. Her father's old business partner, the man who'd disappeared the night before everything went wrong. Caleb saw the recognition in her face. Now you see why I had to come, he said. You want your land back. You want justice. Then you and me, we're gonna have to ride together come morning. The lantern flickered, casting shadows that seemed to close in around them. Sarah swallowed hard, her mind spinning between disbelief and the faint, dangerous spark of hope. Outside, thunder cracked over the hills, echoing through the valley like a warning, or maybe a promise. Inside the barn, the rancher took one quiet step closer, and with that single move, both their fates began to change. The first light of dawn crept through the cracks in the barn, turning the air to golden dust. Sarah hadn't slept. She sat on a bale of hay, lantern burned out, revolver resting in her lap, Caleb's revolver. He had given it to her before stepping out into the storm hours ago, promising he'd return before sunrise. She told herself she didn't care if he came back. But every creak of the barn door made her heart stumble. When he finally did appear, wet and grim from the rain, his presence filled the space again, steady, grounded, dangerous. He carried a folded envelope, edges smudged with mud and something darker. He laid it on the hay between them. McAllister's handwriting, he said simply. And proof enough to hang him. Sarah looked from the paper to Caleb. You expect me to believe you found this in one night? Caleb gave a dry laugh. Didn't find it. Took it. Something about the way he said it made her stomach twist. Took it from where? From the man himself, he said, meeting her eyes. He's at the edge of your father's north pasture. Or what's left of him. Sarah's breath caught. You mean, I didn't plan on killing him, Caleb interrupted. But he drew first. Guess the past finally caught up to him. He ran a hand through his hair, rainwater dripping from his sleeve. He talked before he went down. Told me the whole thing. How he forged your father's signature, bribed the county clerk, sold off half the land to pay his debts. He laughed while he said it. Sarah's mind reeled. The man who'd ruined her family, the one who'd vanished into rumor and smoke, dead. Just like that. What do you want from me now? She asked. Thanks. Forgiveness. Caleb's gaze dropped to the revolver in her lap. Just wanted you to know the truth before I ride out. Word will spread fast, and when it does, folks'll think I killed him for the deed. I can live with that. No, Sarah said, rising to her feet. You can't just leave. You did this, for me. He looked up sharply. I did this because I owed your father. He once pulled me out of a burning barn, risked his life for mine. I couldn't stand by and let McAllister finish what he started. For the first time, the full weight of his past showed on his face. The regret, the years of running from things too dark to name. He turned toward the open door, morning mist spilling into the barn. Sarah's fingers tightened on the revolver. What are you going to do now? Head south, he said. Start over. That's what men like me do when there's too much blood on the ledger. The thought of him leaving filled her with a strange, hollow ache. He had walked into her life like a storm and torn through every lie she'd believed. Now he was just going to vanish again. She stepped closer. You could stay, she said quietly. You helped me, helped us. There's still fences to mend, cattle to tend. He smiled faintly, shaking his head. Ain't that kind of man, Sarah. But before he could turn away, She reached out and caught his sleeve. "You could be," she said. For a heartbeat, everything stilled. The wind, the creak of wood, even the sound of their breathing. His hand came up slowly, fingers brushing hers. The touch was rough, hesitant, and yet it carried all the things neither of them had dared to say through the long night. Then, as if waking from a spell, Caleb stepped back. "You don't want me here when the law comes," he said softly. "They'll ask questions you don't want to answer." Sarah swallowed hard. "I'll tell them the truth, that you did what no one else would." He hesitated in the doorway, rainlight spilling around him like a halo. "That's kind of you," he said. "But truth don't always save a man." Before she could reply, he touched the brim of his hat, gave her one last look, half promise, half goodbye, and walked out into the breaking dawn. Sarah stood there, watching him disappear over the ridge until he was nothing but a dark figure swallowed by the sun. In her hand, she still held his revolver, heavy, cold, real. A reminder of everything that had changed. Outside, the wind shifted through the valley, carrying the scent of rain and the faint echo of hoofbeats. The land was hers again, though it no longer felt the same. It had cost blood, truth, and something deeper, a trust born in fear and ended in silence. But as Sarah turned back toward the house, a thought flickered like the first spark of morning. Maybe, just maybe, some storms didn't come to destroy. They came to clear the air for something new. And though the rancher was gone, his promise, unspoken, unfinished, lingered in every breath of wind that crossed her land.